I am Drew Mason, a graduating senior at Penn State University, completing my Bachelor's of Science degree in Energy and Sustainability Policy. My studies in the ESP program included the following areas of emphasis: energy industry knowledge, sustainability ethic, global perspectives, analytical skills, and communication skills. Today I am presenting my capstone project on the America First Energy Plan. I will be discussing the background, research, analysis, and recommendations. Thank you in advance for watching my presentation. 2008, President Barack Obama pledged commitment to his campaign vow to reduce climate-altering carbon dioxide emissions, primarily from burning fossil fuels. President Obama announced that his energy policies will reduce oil imports, create millions of new jobs, increase national security, and address global warming. President Barack Obama proclaimed that his presidency will mark a new chapter in America's leadership on climate change, a bold step forward as historically the United States has been the largest contributor of carbon dioxide emissions. One strategy of President Obama's energy plan was to end the construction and operation of cheap and dirty coal power plants for electricity generation in the United States. The Clean Power Plan, first proposed in June of 2014, established the first ever national standards to limit carbon pollution from power plants. The plan addresses climate change, protecting public health, and preserving the environment. The Clean Power Plan proposal was immediately met with a lawsuit filed by coal-dependent states and coal companies to stop implementation. The D.C. Circuit Court rejected the legal challenge as premature. EPA conducted extensive outreach and received unprecedented input to draft the final version of the Clean Power Plan. At the Children's National Medical Center on May 31, 2014, in Washington, D.C., President Obama announced the unveiling of the Clean Power Plan and noted that in Americans, we don't have to choose between the health of our economy and the health of our children. The plan represents a significant step forward to reducing CO2 emissions from power plants that contribute the largest amount of carbon emissions in the United States, described as a fair, strong, and flexible framework to allow states to develop tailored implementation plans. When the Clean Power Plan was published in the Federal Register on October 23, 2015, 24 states and coal company Murray Energy filed lawsuits to stop implementation. Subsequently, the Supreme Court would consider if implementation of the Clean Power Plan should be blocked. The infographic ranks states in the lawsuit based on their dependence on coal for electric generation. Noteworthy is that all but three of those states, Kentucky, Missouri, and North Carolina, have Republican attorneys general. This infographic summarizes the impact of President Obama's energy policies, displaying a 10.6% increase in economic growth, a 9.4% decrease in carbon emissions, increases in electricity generation from wind and solar, and decreases in U.S. oil imports since 2008. On January 12, 2016, during President Obama's last and final State of the Union address, President Obama continued to highlight the importance of clean energy and strong climate policy. President Obama expressed optimism and confidence that the Supreme Court would uphold the Clean Power Plan and make the goal of fighting climate change a priority for the United States. On February 9, 2016, the Supreme Court shockingly decided to block implementation of the Clean Power Plan until legal challenges are settled by D.C. Court. The future of the Clean Power Plan and United States climate policies would depend on the outcome of the 2016 presidential election. The drama of the 2016 presidential campaign made it clear that concerns about climate change are a partisan divide, as views shared by Democratic and Republican presidential candidates make it seem as if the parties are on different planets. On November 8, 2016, the result of the presidential election was described as a shock and the biggest upset in modern political history. The American people voted to elect Donald J. Trump as the next president of the United States. As Trump seeks to keep his campaign promise to revive the coal industry, implementation of the Clean Power Plan, and initiatives to address climate change by reducing CO2 emissions from coal-burning electric power generation became highly unlikely. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, in 2015, about 71% of the total U.S. coal production is produced by 5 states: Wyoming, West Virginia, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, and Illinois. All of these top coal producing states, except for Illinois, are traditional Republican leaning and voted for Trump. This infographic shows the 2016 presidential U.S. electoral map with coal, oil, and gas production data for states that were major fossil fuel producers in 2015. In creating his cabinet, President-elect Trump named Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt to head the Environmental Protection Agency. You may recall, Pruitt spearheaded a coalition of state attorneys general in their legal challenge to EPA's Clean Power Plan. Additionally, President-elect Trump's appointment for the important role of Secretary of State, who represents the United States internationally on matters of foreign policy and diplomacy, was Chief Executive for ExxonMobil, Rex Tillerson. Texas Governor Rick Perry was also appointed to serve as Secretary of Energy. According to Sarah Bakshorshi, Trump's cabinet picks further signal a focus on increasing fossil fuel production and lowering prices for consumers. U.S. energy policy took a drastic reversal. The Clean Power Plan is giving way to the America First energy plan. On January 26, 2017, at the Republican Party retreat in Philadelphia, President Trump introduces the America First energy plan. Trump announced that we will unleash the full power of American energy, ending the job-killing restrictions on shale, oil, natural gas, and clean, beautiful coal. The America First Energy Plan notes that burdensome regulations on our energy industry have limited job growth and economic growth. The plan further notes that the Climate Action Plan and the Borders of the United States rule have been harmful and unnecessary policies. By lifting regulations within the next 7 years, wages will increase by more than $30 billion. On March 28, 2017, at the signing of an executive order, President Trump remarked, "With today's executive action, I am taking historic steps to lift the restrictions on American energy, to reverse government intrusion, and to cancel job-killing regulations." In his closing comments, President Trump expressed commitment to ensure that America remains the world's leader on environmental issues, and to create the economic, regulatory, and tax structures that make America the most prosperous and productive country on earth, and with the highest standard of living and the highest standard of environmental protection. The Clean Power Plan favors advancing clean renewable energy technologies. The America First Energy Plan seeks to revive coal and increase extraction and production of fossil fuels. These two energy policies have clearly picked different winners and losers. Lessons learned from the study of energy policy make it clear that energy policy inherently dictates winners and losers, and those actors with a stake in the outcome of a policy incentive will work hard to ensure their interests are protected. Energy policy requires a balance between supportive government intervention on behalf of public health and economic growth versus government interference and obstruction of free market principles. Murray Energy is the largest privately owned and independently operated coal company in the United States, with a strong interest in the success of the America First energy plan. During the 2016 presidential election, Murray Energy contributed $1.5 million to the Republican Party, a record high for the company, with the majority donated to support Trump. ExxonMobil is the largest publicly traded international oil and gas company in the world, and one of the world's largest integrated refiners, marketers of petroleum products with a strong interest in the success of the America First energy plan, engages in lobbying, and makes political contributions. In 2016, contributed close to $222,000 to candidates and committees in 12 U.S. states. Texas has a population of close to 28 million. Median household income is $53,207, and GDP is $1.6 trillion. That is the second to California. Additionally, 10% of all the 1,000 largest public and private companies in the United States are based in Texas, including AT&T, Dell, and ExxonMobil. Texas has a strong interest in the success of the America First energy plan, major oil and gas state of the United States. The American Petroleum Institute supports 10.3 million United States jobs and nearly 8% of the United States economy. API's more than 625 members include large integrated companies as well as exploration and production, refining, marketing, pipeline, and marine businesses, and service and supply firms provide most of the nation's energy. The Natural Resource Defense Council opposes America First energy plan. Natural Resource Defense Council uses science and data advocacy, partnerships, and litigation to prevent special interests from undermining public interest to ensure the rights of all people to the air, the water, and the wild. NDRC believes the world's children should inherit a planet that will sustain them far into the future. The World Wildlife Fund opposes the America First energy plan, has an online petition with 118,635 supporters towards their goal of reaching 150,000 supporters. The World Wildlife Fund petition is in response to President Trump's announcement to take measures to roll back progress made on climate change policy. The prepared petition wants supporters to ask President Trump to prioritize our planet's future. Environmental Defense Fund opposes the America First energy plan and believes that prosperity and environmental stewardship must go hand in hand. EDF values strong partnerships and has been committed to bipartisan environmentalism and focus on achieving results by finding solutions that benefit people and protect natural systems. The Union of Concerned Scientists opposes the America First energy plan. Their homepage prominently displays a link for their Standing Up for Science during the Trump administration's initiative. The website notes that the Union of Concerned Scientists acts as a watchdog for science and democracy. UCS is keeping a close eye on the Trump administration and will not be silent in the face of the Trump administration. A noted central concern of the UCS states, "We need sound scientific analysis, not political calculation or corporate hype, to create a healthy, safe, and sustainable future." The efficacy, merit, and viability of the America First Energy Plan can be analyzed from several different perspectives. This analysis aims to examine the America First Energy Plan through the following perspectives: political and economic analysis of reviving the coal industry, analysis of a commitment to sound energy policy and environmental stewardship, and analysis of the link between U.S. energy policy and America's global leadership on climate change. From these perspectives, the America First Energy Plan lacks efficacy, merit, and viability. The America First Energy Plan represents a step backwards in U.S. energy policy. The plan will not revive America's coal industry, achieve balance between a sound energy policy and environmental stewardship, or position America first as a global leader on climate change. A viable and sound U.S. energy plan should position America as a highly regarded world leader in the advancement of innovative renewable energy technologies that will spark robust economic growth and lead global efforts to address the devastating impacts of climate change. The America First Energy Plan illustrates that energy policy is highly politicized and often polarizing issue on which decisions made have every bit as much to do with political strategy as they do with solving a problem. The America First Energy Plan's intent to revive the coal industry can be analyzed to examine the manner in which political analysis of energy policy works hand in hand with economic analysis in terms of determining an energy policy's overall viability. The victory for Trump was a major victory for Murray Energy. President Trump repealed President Obama's stream protection rule that prevented coal companies from dumping mining debris in streams. The Trump administration's energy policy is clearly politically much better for Murray Energy. However, the economic revival of the coal industry remains highly unlikely. As Robert Murray forecast, that even with a commitment to clean coal technology, he doesn't expect that coal's share of the market will rise significantly in the future. Murray warned President Trump to temper promises about reviving coal industry jobs. Murray stated to The Guardian that many of those jobs were lost to technology rather than regulation and to competition from natural gas and renewables, which makes it unlikely that he can do much to significantly grow the number of jobs in the industry. However, The Guardian reported that Murray remains confident that life is getting better for coal, now that Murray Energy has a champion in the White House. Since the late 1980s, electricity generation from coal has decreased from nearly 60% to 32% in 2016. In the 1980s, the coal industry was not immune to technological innovations, advancements, and the use of machines started to replace human labor. As a result, jobs in the coal industry have also disappeared. Experts have agreed that if coal production increases, job lost to mechanization could not be revived. Furthermore, there was a fracking revolution from 2008 to 2016 that increased production and decreased the price of natural gas. As electricity producers shifted away from coal to comparable or lower cost natural gas, electricity prices also fell. Also, experts say the repeal of the Clean Power Plan will definitely slow the decline of coal, but it will not be enough to stop it entirely. Over the last 5 years, environmental regulations have caused the retiring of some coal-fired generators, and coal-fired electricity has decreased by 15%. However, most experts agree that the fracking boom is one of the main reasons that natural gas prices have remained low in recent years. As shown in the January 30th, 2017 EIA's Today in Energy release, sustained low cost of natural gas will continue to be an incentive for the electricity industry to substitute away from coal-fired generators in favor of natural gas as a fuel source. In addition to pressure from natural gas, from a geographical perspective, in locations when renewable resources like wind and solar are abundant, coal also struggles to compete. Perhaps unlikely, but even in fossil fuel rich states like Texas and Oklahoma, coal competes with renewable energy sources. In recent years, technologies continue to advance and renewable resources become more widely available. Costs will continue to decline. This market cycle will continue to challenge the revival of the coal industry. At its core, the America First Energy Plan is a drastic reversal from the Clean Power Plan of the Obama administration. The Clean Power Plan set high standards and high expectations for America to achieve significant progress in addressing climate change, protecting public health, and preserving the environment. The Clean Power Plan was developed through extensive outreach and unprecedented input. The Clean Power Plan was based on current circumstances, current scientific research, and high regard for human life and the environment. The Clean Power Plan was professionally prepared and attractively presented in charts, graphs, and web pages. The Clean Power Plan was ambitious and aspirational, and would have positioned the United States to be world leaders in the advancement of innovative renewable energy technologies that create new robust economic growth. The Clean Power Plan was a progressive and forward-focused national energy policy that deserved praise and recognition for ensuring America's leadership on global efforts to address the devastating impacts of climate change. The America First Energy Plan is simplistic, sketchy, short-sighted, and singularly focused on repealing, removing, and eliminating all environmental protections and regulations to allow the fossil fuel industry to have free rein and a free ride to increase extraction and production of fossil fuels without regard for the earth, for the health and future well-being of the people and the planet. For example, now coal mining debris can be dumped into nearby waters. The America First Energy Plan seeks only to advance fossil fuels and specifically revive the coal industry. Reviving the coal industry is a feat that even Robert Murray knows cannot be achieved under current market conditions. As a result of the Trump administration's energy policy, the United States is no longer regarded as a global leader in climate change. A lack of commitment to the Paris Agreement should not come as a surprise for a president who called climate change a hoax. The world is looking and listening, and now Trump has disrupted the mood of international collaborations with the United States at the helm. In January 2017, before Trump's inauguration, Chinese President Xi Jinping said, The Paris Agreement is a milestone in the history of climate governance, and all parties should work together to implement Paris Agreement and to honor obligations and commitments. America's lack of commitment to climate change makes China the de facto leader on climate change. The America First Energy Plan stands in stark contrast with the direction the rest of the world is going in terms of domestic energy policy. President Trump has managed to turn America First into America Isolated. According to a New York Times article, Trump hands the Chinese a gift, the chance of global leadership. Trump has created a vacuum of global leadership that presents ripe opportunities for allies and adversaries alike to reorder the world's power structure. Trump's continued lack of regard for climate change comes with objections from much of the American business community and his Secretary of State Rex W. Tillerson, who embraced the Paris Accord when he ran ExxonMobil. Tackling climate change out of a sense of moral responsibility is to be commended. However, now more than ever, global partnerships and cooperation are required as a part of the new price of doing business around the world. On June 1st, 2017, during a Rose Garden press conference, President Trump announced America's withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement. During his address, Trump noted that payments to the United Nations Green Climate Fund were a massive redistribution of United States wealth to other countries. According to the New York Times, it will take years to determine the long-range effects of his decision to abandon the Paris Agreement to the environment and to the global order. The press and timeline for withdrawal is yet to be determined. Similar to current U.S. energy policy, Trump's decision might be repealed or reversed after the next presidential election. In the meantime, China alone was ready to adopt the role of global standard setter that Washington has occupied since the end of World War II. The America First energy policy is seeking to revive the coal industry while the rest of the world pursues a low carbon footprint. In general, over the years, and regardless of political affiliation, U.S. energy policy has included aims to lower the cost of energy, increase economic growth, gain energy independence from foreign oil, and strengthen our national security. A strategy to support national security is collaboration and coalition building with global community to solve our most important problems, economic growth, and an environment that sustains our children and grandchildren. President Trump wants to make America great again. However, a domestic energy policy that repeals, removes, and eliminates all environmental protections and regulations to allow fossil fuel industry to have free rein and a free ride to increase extraction and production of fossil fuels without regard for the health and future well-being of people and the planet, in addition, and additionally isolates the U.S. from the rest of the world is not the best way forward for ensuring national security. The Mid-Atlantic Renewable Energy Coalition was formed in Pennsylvania as a nonprofit corporation in September 2009. MAREC notes a commitment to using renewable energy technologies to diversify electricity generation, bolster regional economic development in Delaware, District of Columbia, Maryland, New Jersey, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia. The recommendations offered in the action plan below are prepared for presentation to Mid-Atlantic Renewable Energy Coalition, whose members include solar and wind developers, manufacturers, service companies, in addition to nonprofit organizations. The Mid-Atlantic Renewable Energy Coalition is encouraged to take the lead in promoting strong, sustained, and coordinated opposition to the America First Energy Plan by engaging informed citizens and private wind and solar corporations with an interest in advancing clean renewable energy technologies. Opposition to the Clean Power Plan proved that a strong energy policy, federal mandates, and requirements can be stalled and held from implementation due to lawsuits. Therefore, other actions are required to ensure that the fossil fuel industry is compelled to act in ways that do no harm to human health or the environment. The primary reasoning for the recommended action plan is to increase national security. There are opportunities for coalition building between Mid-Atlantic Renewable Energy Coalition and other stakeholders to form partnerships and alliances around the advancement of clean renewable energy technologies. The America First Energy Plan favors coal-dependent states, coal companies, and the fossil fuel industry. Although fossil fuel giants ExxonMobil and ConocoPhillips have reiterated their support for reducing carbon emissions, however, historically, the fossil fuel industry continues to actively and at times deceptively oppose regulations to reduce CO2. For example, ExxonMobil failed to acknowledge impacts of CO2 emissions on climate change. They actively and at times deceptively work to prevent and oppose regulations to reduce CO2 emissions while supporting lobbying and providing funds to advance climate change deniers. The fossil fuel industry receives lucrative profits from continuing business as usual. However, CO2 emissions come with numerous costs to society. Therefore, the fossil fuel industry cannot be trusted to willingly reduce emissions to mitigate climate change unless failure take, to take action results in high costs to business as usual approach to maximize profits. Furthermore, just as the Clean Power Plan proposal was immediately met with a lawsuit, followed by coal-dependent states and coal companies, opposition to the America First Plan will also unleash strong actions to oppose. Such opposition, the fossil fuel industry must be required to internalize costs associated with the harmful impacts of continuing their business as usual. U.S. climate change policies face legal challenges that hinder their implementation and benefit to society, economy, energy independence, and national security. Revisiting economic theory, the externalities of CO2 emissions from fossil fuel industry may require correction. However, such correction, be it to revive the coal industry or otherwise, violates basic economic principles. Chandler reminds us that the pursuit of self interest for the greater societal good has led to innovations and technological advancements. Chandler's statement also brings to mind what Vardock also noted: the invisible hand of the market creates social value where once there was only individual pursuits of self interest, and metaphorically at least it operates without charge. The America First Energy Plan and the Trump administration will not be able to stop the revolution of renewable energy from taking over the country. According to Inside Climate News, renewable energy has already been and will continue to gain support among the public and private investors. Across the world, for example, in China, there have been shifts away from fossil fuels and towards renewable clean sources of energy such as wind, solar, and geothermal. As the world's energy technologies continue to evolve and the transition to clean, renewable energy will accelerate, the force of profit maximizing self interest will make it impossible for the United States to take a back to the future approach to energy policy by reviving the coal industry and increasing extraction and production of fossil fuels.